Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate both of you coming. I know you're so busy with the holidays and daughters and work and all of that. So thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. Thanks for having us.
So I just basically wanted to kind of introduce the world to Tim McKee. I've got Warren here, my co-host, which I'm so grateful for. Thank you, Warren, for being here. And Tim is a member of Heavy Realty in California in wine country. Is that right?
Yes, I'm in Sonoma County. I'm in Petaluma based. It's about 40 miles north of San Francisco.
Okay.
And Sonoma Valley is the next valley over, but we're all kind of like tied in. There's definitely vineyards throughout, but you know, wine country.
Yeah, nice.
Beer country. It's beer and weed country to me. I don't know. I don't understand wine stuff yet. I'll get there.
That's awesome. Are you from there?
I know I grew up in Southern California.
Southern California. Okay,
beach
cool.
towns, and then I moved up here for college a million years ago, and have done music and bands. And
Tim has a rich history in the Bay Area. He worked for MESA Boogie for a long time, right? So
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. If you could kind of go into that, what is it that you did before real estate? You know, kind of take us back, and then we'll kind of come to where we are now.
Yes, I worked at MESA Boogie for 20 years, and I worked at Dunlop for a couple of years, and then pandemic. So, but yeah, I basically played in bands. I've been teaching music for a long time, guitar, bass, and et cetera, et cetera. And I raised a family, and so I've kind of been rooted here, kind of working on nonprofit music festival in town as well, and for the last 15 years. But yeah, it's just the music thing has always been intertwined with my life, no matter what. But I've been lucky to have great jobs in the music industry and meet some great people and have fun with it. So, and completely nerd out on gear and
yes.
guitars.
Yes, but I think
supplement our gas, right?
Yes. Tim and we exchanged emails for a long time. I believe we really started talking, I think, when I worked for Lamb of God, Tim. I thought about this the other day because they were all the MESA guys, right? So that's when I was, I think we were back and forth a lot through emails.
When were you with them?
I think it was 2012.
Okay. Because I remember working with them since the beginning, like 2002. So okay.
Exactly. So, and then we crossed paths a bunch before then, you know, but I was always a different, you know, I worked for bands that use different amps, right? So, but then we met for the first time in the Bay area when you were standing like by my rack or something. I was like, "Hey man, can you not stand over there?" And then you kind of handed over your card to me. You were like, "I'm Tim," and I was like, "Oh man, this sucks." But hey, I knew who you. Yeah, what a funny way to meet you for the first time, like, you know, in person, right? So
yeah, I knew who you were. So like handing over my card with like a total shit-eating grin, like, "Hey buddy."
Yeah, you totally like, "Hey, here's."
And you're all,
come over here, come around, stand over here now.
And it was like full on hug, like, dude, like.
Yeah, I mean, it was like almost like I want to say at least 4 or 5 years of emails back and forth, right? So
at least, yeah.
Yeah, and then when I started work for Rancid, we started, you know, emailing a bunch too.
Yeah,
right?
with Tim for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I can't keep up with the tech world. It's like, I always used to say this. I wish there was a network of techs, like plug in, like, who are you out with? Like, you know, cause I never knew. And then I get on some tour and then see someone like, "Oh my God, you're on this tour. I had no idea." So that's always been a bummer to me. Like, "Oh, come on." You know?
Now there is, right? It's called social media, man, unfortunately.
Yeah. You know, but still people don't say like who they're with necessarily.
Yeah.
It's like, "Cool, here's another guitar. Here's another, you know, backstage."
Yeah.
But yeah, we've definitely had some fun, a lot of intertwined circles and people and like network, you know, and I've been thinking about this as we prep for this talk, this interview, is just this huge web of people that we know and how it's all intertwined, and like the words like brotherhood comes up, and, you know, especially like if you guys are tight touring like crew, that's a whole another level.
Yes.
And I'm just the dude that kind of rolls through on Bay Area shows, right? But it's still like,
you're still part of the family. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like every
you know, when we see, like, we're going to the Bay. All right, we're gonna see Tim. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those, like, you know, for sure he's gonna be at the show. You're gonna hang out, whatever, right? So that was actually the best part of touring, to be able to do that, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
you go to certain areas, you definitely know you're going to see certain people that are part of your circle, right? So, and you definitely were, are part of that circle. So
it's cool to kind of like, I felt like my job for 25 years was being on tour, but coming home to sleep in my bed every night, because I basically go to different shows all the time, a few nights a week at least, and different venues, knew all the crew, and just kind of, all right, cool. But it's just, the tour came to me. I'm still kind of like doing the thing.
You're lucky you still get to sleep in your bed every night. So
yeah, except my morning loadout was school drops. Getting
great,
kids ready.
It's great, right? So.
That's awesome. What's the name of your nonprofit? What's the name of your nonprofit?
Petaluma Music Festival.
Sweet. And when does that take place?
It takes place the first weekend of August, and it's been about 15 years now. Pandemic also, we did a video stream of like greatest hits type thing.
Sweet.
And I kind of took a break for a minute, but I've been kind of involved, like I booked bands, help production, basically stage manage, but then just artist liaison, really just kind of like plugging in, and then helping just the festival, running the festival. So
that's awesome.
Just through music, you must have, you've dealt with artists on every level, right? You know what I mean? It's not
and it says like to be like the point of contact for them, exactly. And like, hey, and then even like with the MESA years, I would backline it anyway. Even when I was taking a break, I'd still like make sure that MESA was on stage and work with the bands and basically be backline, company. Yeah. So, oh, you want to use MESA? Cool, because that's what's provided. You want to bring your own gear, But yeah, Lagunitas Brewing Company was tied in with that for years, and so just making all that whole network happen, and it's been fun. But the music, the festival proceeds all go to area music programs, and there's like 8 different schools in Petaluma that get money from us, and so
that's cool. That's a good. I mean, that's what
awesome
nowadays. Yeah, you gotta push that on the kids, right? So
yeah. So whenever I'd book bands, I'd always want like horn bands and stuff like that. So like the kids in the band, they're like, "Oh, I hate this thing." Like you go see some cool band, like like rocking out on trombone or something.
Super cool. Yeah.
It's any form of music is good exposure, right? So
yeah.
That's awesome. How long have you been doing real estate now?
I'm a year in. Had a really fun first year, and like I said, I did the shift with the pandemic stuff, and it's been an interesting ride, and for all of us in the music industry, really to kind of like survive and figure out what plan B is that we never thought we'd need, right? And but it's really cool to watch the brotherhood and the network like pivot, like and have this hope and change, and like a lot of us are probably not going to go back. Like a lot of my guitar tech friends are like, no, I'm done. Yeah. I don't want to drop names or anything, but it's just like cool, 20 years of hotel rooms or whatever. It's just like that's cool. And then we get used to being at home and like spending time with our families and our kids, and like having a different pace and a different life. And it's like, oh, this is possible. So
yeah, it's always, you're always looking for that way out. And then when, you're handed the way out, you got to take it. Right. So otherwise you're, who knows what's going on with tours, in other words. Right. So it's tough right now for people that tour for a living. It's definitely tough. So there's not a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah. And I mean, I think turning to real estate for a lot of people, depending on no matter what other career they have going on, has been just something that's so consistent. Everybody needs a place to live, and it's super reliable, and it's less volatile than, crypto or stocks markets. Even like it's got a lot more consistency and growth over the last couple of years. It's been a great time to get into real estate, for sure. So I'm glad that that's something that both of you, honestly, I'm so glad that that's something that the both of you have turned to, because it is something kind of what I've always preached about with real estate is it builds generational wealth. It will build that for your children, and that, and what it's going to do for you versus going on tour, having to do all of this work and then come back and just basically have nothing. At least some of my friends, they don't do anything for those few months, and then they go out and they make their money, and it's just not a very consistent way to create income. So Tim, how did you get into real estate? Was it something that was interesting to you before? Did you just kind of fall into it? I mean, I think that it's kind of perfect for you, perfect for Warren, perfect for people that are, highly enmeshed in a network, especially on your guys' scale. it's obvious to me. I mean, my network is pretty extensive and I'm always trying to grow it. That's why I'm grateful I know you guys. But I think for people like yourselves, this is the perfect path. You already have a very good, deep connection with a number of people that are going to trust you. The brotherhood that you speak of is totally there. I mean, I know you guys through like David, my boyfriend, and like through other people. And it's just this wonderful connection that I've always loved very much about the music industry and the music world. Is a lot of industries are like this, but it's who you know and how you know them. And you'll kind of have this instant connection. It's like, oh, like I know you from this. And so you have this great bond. And with real estate, it's very much the same. It's like, know, and trust. And you guys have the ability to really build a career very large, very quickly. That's why I really want to help you guys get there. And obviously you'll do it on your own, but it's really great that you found yourself in this industry also, in addition to this other stuff that you come from. I mean, how did you kind of get into it?
Well, yeah, just real quick on the networking, and that thing is so great because we're gifted through our work before with how to communicate with people, and then you build up the trust and the service and basically being there. And so, for me to be able to call, like I'm not going to call only people in my area. I'll still keep people on my call list for New York and Nashville and
Heavy Realty, this network, right? Right. So
exactly. And then, but you can call a musician. I can call one of my musician buddies that tours and stuff in Nashville and say, hey, here's what I'm doing now. And you can still help me with referrals. I have agents there in Nashville. And then they're like, oh, and because of that trust and connection, it's like, we've always carried ourselves authentically. And so that's that. But so how I got into it was, I have a good friend who was like, man, you would kill at this. You should do this. And she told me for years, and she is killing it. And I'm like, okay, maybe, someday. And then, but we'd always like go deep on like investing and talk about things and whatever. And so I basically, so my daughters and I sit down for dinner, like we basically like cook and like sit down and like kind of connect and stuff every night. And I got called into this meeting to get laid off, basically. And I didn't know I was getting laid off. I had no idea. I was like, what, and so, but my oldest kid, she's like, Dad, what if you get fired? And I was like, why are you talking like that? Like, what if you get fired? And like, you should do real estate because you're so good at talking. And I was like, like just out of the blue, like, what are you talking about? And then I drove all the way to work and then got laid off. I was like, but I was like on the phone, like, cool, I'm here to work, great, and good to see everybody, that's here for, pandemic shutdown. But so that was kind of like a trip, but I didn't jump into it right away, but I was like, okay, I got to figure something out. Like, let's ramp up the teaching again. And I've always been teaching throughout, but that, that's not even sustainable. And so I jumped in and called my friend, and she's like, dude, do it, go get your license. And so I did it. And then California wasn't even offering the test. So I landed in a brokerage without a license, like they were into already how I was working. So I basically kind of was mentoring with another partner and stuff and kind of already in the field working and stuff anyway. And then finally got my test and got my license. But so
that's the beauty of real estate. You can almost, before you get your license, you can get in, with a brokerage and get a mentor and learn stuff before you get your license, right? So
and I feel really lucky. I feel like that's not the norm, but it was kind of like this weird synchronistic small world stuff and connections here. But so that's how I jumped into it, and I just been following the gut feelings and the synchronicity and the alignment, and it's honestly, it's just affirming that this is what I'm supposed to be doing and that the shift is okay. Because we attach so much of our identity to like, cool, I'm slinging strings or whatever. And then to have that just like pulled out and like, oh, wait, cool, another tour's canceled, or, oh, we don't need this whole department anymore. It's kind of I don't want to cuss on here, but it's a total mind fuck, right? Yeah. So like, but to have the pivot there it feels good to be like covered somehow,
Every industry took a hit, but the music industry was borderline decimated. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. So,
still, Grammys just got canceled. It's like, okay. So I've had a lot of fun, and I've been blessed with seriously like busy all year and learning stuff and just kind of keep going. And the other thought I have is I had great jobs. Like, I'm really grateful for the jobs I had, but I was kind of at the ceiling, and where else would I go with that? How else do you create like more income? And you kind of don't. And so I would teach on the side, but there's no ceiling in real estate.
Right.
You get out there and hustle and do it. And
yeah, you make the ceiling, you're right. You know what I mean? You basically predict or control how, how much income you're going to have. Because if the more you hustle, the more you're going to get it. Right. So
yeah, that's the beautiful thing about it that I keep discovering is the giant umbrella that real estate has. There's so many options within it to invest, to do whatever yourself, to help others, to also just strictly do referrals. Like, that's something that some other people are doing that, like, I mean, if Warren's super busy and he's working at his like other stuff and wanting to spend time with family, but he's got a bunch of clients and people that he just happens to know in other states, he can refer them to somebody and still make 30% from that commission. Like, I have plenty of realtor friends in, say, Hawaii that only work off of referrals. They do nothing else but that. They have people that call them from the mainland that are coming in. They send people out and they just do a referral business. That's one way that you can do business. And then there's just so many other ways that you can get income through real estate. And so it's really beautiful, not even just being a realtor, but doing all of the other things that you can do, which is super great. I mean, I'm so glad that
it's a global network, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's totally, it's a worldwide thing, right? So
yeah. I sent somebody to Portugal, a client of mine, to someone that I know in Portugal now, and just trying to make those connections. And you guys have people worldwide that so the ability to grow this is going to be really impactful for your business for years to come. It'll be something that you don't even really have to, in my opinion, the way that I would like to imagine it for both of you is that it's something that just kind of runs itself. You have a network of people that just know who you are. They know what you do. They know where you come from. They know that you can help them in some way, shape, or form. And you're able to do that just by either making a connection or helping them in your market if they happen to be there. But it's just, that's kind of where I see a lot of people like yourselves coming from this industry into this one, where you're able to just utilize those connections and put things together. And you make income that way. It's really, really wonderful. But
I wanted to touch on the mentality of teaching. I feel like my job at MESA was teaching guitar players who are either lazy or incapable of diving deep into the workings of their amps. And I never tripped out on that. I was like, that's cool. Don't do that. Go play music. Go make the next greatest.
That's why you have guys like me, right? I'll deal with that. So you just
yeah. And it's like, but then to teach them how to work it, and then and be stoked on that. And then I feel like I'm on this planet to be a teacher, and I've always been a teacher. I taught swimming, been teaching guitar forever, but and I taught tutoring and reading and all that stuff too. But the thing is, it's like we're educating clients. Like, hey, here's what this means. Like, if this happens, this could happen. And, and it's like to have that thirst for learning it, and then having the confidence in teaching and expressing that to your clients so they're at ease. It's like this weird thread through all of the stuff that we've done this whole time anyway. Warren doesn't have to explain how to tune a Floyd Rose to a guitar shred guy who can never do it. He's just going to take care of it and say, don't worry about it. Just go do your thing. It's like, so, same thing with oh yeah, I got this thing in this contract and what this means is this. And, I kind of am kind of super getting off on all that stuff too. Just hey, it's cool to help people.
You bring up a very, very good point. Not everybody has the patience or ability to teach others. That's something that I've found for myself as well. And you're completely right. Also, going back on communication is very key. And that was something that was very key in your guys' previous, current, other work. Very, very necessary. And for this type of work, communication is almost a large part of it. And it's not all of it. But what I mean by this is how you're going to teach someone and walk them through the process of purchasing or selling or investing, whatever that may be. But really being able to be patient and then understand how you need to convey these things to different people, all of the psychological stuff that goes into it. Some of these people are buying their home for their first time and they're going to be really nervous, and you need to explain it in this way and walk them through. And I mean, teaching is a huge, huge part of what we do, and guiding people through a huge process that some of them will only do once in their lives. They're only going to buy one property, and it's going to be the biggest deal to them, and they're going to own it for generations. Some people are going to buy many, and they're going to become, this this type of client that you interact with, and you got to show them this marketplace and learn everything about that. So it's very, very important that you do come from that. And it's really interesting. I think some of the most successful people in real estate came from a job or a position that taught them some of the best skills in order to help them with real estate. Right. I mean, that I think
so.
Yeah, some people have gotten their license and they're coming from a job where they didn't really work with people. They have no idea what it takes to like kind of do this type of work. This is not a housing business. This is a people business. And some people don't have that, some people do. And I think those that do are the ones that are very successful because they're patient with people. I know, God forbid, I'm not the most patient, but I teach myself to be that because I've spent many, many years dealing with people prior. And so, I understand how to help them navigate through whatever it may be. And I have developed patience with others and obviously not taking their decisions personally. I try to see everything just as it is and explain it as it is, emotionless because they're emotional, like really understanding those things. Some people jump into this work. They think it's like selling Sunset on Netflix and it's very simple and all of these things. And there's a lot of moving parts into it. And it's very interesting to see and learn more about your guys' backgrounds, other people's backgrounds where you can really see what makes them shine. And it's because they have all of these other experiences that led them to where they are now, which is a lot of life in general. It's really amazing how life operates. But that's something that I've been noticing within myself was the career work that I had before. Never did I think would line up to where it is now. Never did I think. They were jobs I hated, but I did very well. They were jobs that I needed to learn skills for, that I put myself in a lot of pressure. And then when I owned my own business, I had to learn everything. And that was extremely like that high pressure, but it completely prepared me for where I am now, and I didn't think that I would ever be, I didn't think I would be doing real estate in Hawaii. I'm doing real estate in Hawaii, have been for a while. So it's interesting. But yeah, I'm just glad that we're able to kind of all come from, these very eclectic backgrounds and then meet together. And then, my whole goal is to try to build you guys up, but I'm just glad that you guys are into it. Because I think that it's something that can not only help so many people, but yourselves and your families and what you can teach your kids with real estate. Like I wish that my dad knew something about real estate. He was all about medicine, didn't tell me a damn thing about housing. I wish I would have known what I knew now at fucking like 16, 18. I would be in a completely different place. So you guys are set up to teach your daughters very well.
It's a great way to invest in life,
yeah.
real estate. So
yeah.
It's just a great, you're putting money down on yourself, like your future, right? So, and then if you want to, you can have the option of jumping into becoming an investor, right? Where you have multiple properties and you deal with stuff like that. It's great. It's a great opportunity. Yeah. So definitely.
It is a great opportunity. To kind of touch on your marketplace, Tim, what would you say, what's going on in your area? I know that it's kind of crazy everywhere, but what would you describe is kind of the climate in your area right now?
It's like a gladiator match. You write an offer, you get in the ring. It's been fun to watch. Like, I jumped in over a year ago, and to watch it like not slow down through the winter, and has been kind of a trip. Like have all my colleagues and team members be like, this is uncanny. This is amazing how, it is, there's still 20 offers on this house and it went for 100 grand over asking, of our median range of, like our range here in Sonoma County is about like average pricing is about 700,000 to 800,000. Marin just south of us is 1.7 million. It's kind of like, it's pretty up there, but it's also like, lumping in like key areas that are really expensive, but Petaluma, where I am, average price is kind of more 800 to 1.2, for like, this kind of more historic side of town. So, and the inventory has been low. So it did kind of slow down. There is this interesting thing I've been watching where inventory, and I think it has to do with supply chains. Like it, all comes back to that, right? Like, you can't get construction materials. Construction guys are busy. They're, tapped out for weeks, in advance. And so you have either complete turnkey, well-staged, amazing homes that sell in like 4 days for, way over asking, or you have complete beaters that you can't even fix up because you can't get materials, you can't get somebody out there. So, but there's nothing in the middle, but that's kind of evening out now. And it's like kind of more of a normal season now. So it's fun to watch. I have both buyers and sellers. I have sellers who waited. I have sellers who jumped in. I have buyers who paused and are back. I have buyers who like went in all in throughout all the crazy anyway. And it's all relative, like value. Like, you think about like, what would I do? Would I jump in and buy a house right now, or would I wait? Will it slow down? Will it keep going? So I think the trend is definitely, it's going to keep going up. It's not going to go up quickly here. I think it's like kind of on a slow, steady rise. Interest rates are slowly coming up. They might top out at like maybe 4 or 5 and then come back down.
Yeah.
And then I think inflation and stuff will be curbed and stuff. So we'll kind of like see all that. And then, which is all good for buyers and sellers. So it's like, is it a seller's market? Is it a buyer's market? I kind of think it's both right now. And it's
it just depends on your position, right? You know what I mean? So
yeah. And I have buyers who are more comfortable now jumping in, but now inventory is starting to pick up because after the holidays and such. But
right.
So our area. And then just what is our area? Our area is beautiful. Like I'm 20 minutes from the coast, the North Coast, Bodega Bay, fishing town, surf town. And we're 3 hours from Tahoe, and then we're an hour from San Francisco. And it's like, we have trees and rolling hills and grass and oak trees and the whole thing. And finally we got a bunch of rain, so the hills are green again. But it's like, so it's rural, and then there's, suburban, pockets and towns, So it's kind of gold mine history as far as when the town started. And so you have a lot of historical stuff. It's, it's still young. Technically, it's only like, late 1800s. And then you have, different parts of history kind of like as things grew. So,
Sweet. That's awesome. I think it is kind of all over a very interesting time. First off, it's the beginning of the year. So a lot of people that are like, after the holidays, they're now ready to either buy or sell. You have a lot of those people, right? And I think that what you did mention is very true about the interest rates. That has been something that has been keeping everybody crazy for the last 2 years, at least a lot of buyers. It's kind of like piranha season in 2020. That was madness. And then 2021, kind of the same thing. And then I believe from kind of the stuff that I'm seeing that in first and second quarter of this year, you're going to be seeing a lot of people scrambling that waited, and they're like, oh, fuck, I should have done this like last year. I should have done this 2 years ago when the rates were at blah, 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 because it is becoming national news, international news that the rates are going to increase. I mean, the Federal Reserve and every stuff is going to increase this year, a minimum of 3 times, possibly, or I don't know if it was a maximum or a minimum, but what I'm reading is that it's going to be at least like 3.7 by the end of the year at a minimum. And that is much different than say 3, or if you're a veteran where it's at like 2.75, 2.9, under 3. So I think that in the first and second quarter, you're going to be seeing a lot of people still scrambling, and then maybe evening out a little bit as that starts to increase, which I do think would be very good. I think that inventory thing in your area, it sounds very, unique in some instances. I mean, Hawaii has been struggling with a lot of the inventory of island. There's not a lot of it. And so that's been something that we've been feeling too, but all over nationwide. I'm hoping that once this pandemic mayhem, a lot of people start to kind of relax and somewhat normalize depending on your climate, but some people might just be over it and just want to just sell. They're like, oh, I've held out for 2 years. I just want to sell. They should sell in this first and second quarter while there still are a ton of buyers so that they can get a multitude, a giant amount of offers over asking. They should sell now, in my opinion. So that should, in a perfect world, bring more inventory, but we'll see. I'm very interested and excited to see where this year kind of takes all markets, because they're all kind of behaving differently. I mean, Warren, your market, what would you say is going on right now? I know that you're having a lot of stuff with mandates, and I would imagine, is that causing people to move out? Are you getting more, like, what does that look like right now? And it's winter, so.
Yeah, New York is always going to be like the same type of animal it is here. It's active. Whether there's mandates, there's all this other stuff going on, people are still, selling, moving, because what it is maybe there's not as much people coming in or people leaving, but there's always internal movement in New York.
Right.
You know, people always, because there's a lot of renters here.
Right.
Always moving around, and then, you know, renters that decide, hey, it's time to buy. You know what I mean? Especially now when the rates are still around 3% now, you know, before they actually start going up right now in New York. If, you know, if you're in a position to buy, you should be looking to buy. You should make that, you know, and again, the same as Tim said, it's a buyer and it's a little bit of both, right? If you have something to sell right now, you should probably, you know, look into selling it, right?
Yeah.
You know, if you put a pause on it or waiting for certain whatever to happen, now is the time to
right? You bring up a very good point for your specific marketplace, since there are so many renters. I've got some here, but you've got a tremendous amount, and really educating people on right now the difference, like really putting it side by side. What does it look like to buy? What does it look like to rent? What are my monthlies, and comparing them, and what are my monthlies long term, and what will I get by the end of it? You'll get a place of your own versus a place not of your own, and all your money basically down the drain, in my opinion.
Exactly.
So I mean, that's a very good point.
So it's I think it's, you know, let's see, it's probably gonna even out pretty soon, but it's just like you said, it depends. Right now is, you know, the inventory is probably gonna go up, right? So there's gonna be a lot of you know, action going both ways, right? So,
sure. And I mean, I always think that New York is still going to be New York for forever. It's always going to be New York. And I would think that at a time like this, or who knows how it's going to go, but if there is more inventory that rises, that causes some of the price to kind of stabilize and maybe come down, might be a great time to invest in New York, hold it, rent it out long term, and then, you know, do something with it later. But I mean, I think that would be a great time to invest in any place where they're having a lot of people either move out, a lot more inventory kind of come up. I mean, still would be a great time to invest.
New York is always going to be a great place to invest. It's, you know, it's like a piece of gold here. You know what I mean? It's not, you obviously the market will dictate what your place is worth and appraisals and stuff, but it's, you know, if you can wait it out, the market, you know, market changes. Market goes like that, right? So it's a great investment to buy it here in New York. You know, so
yeah, I agree. You know, I really don't have much else to kind of go over. I don't want to take up much of more of your time, but maybe if we could end on, like, Tim, if you could kind of share to our listeners about, you know, what your advice would be about either getting into real estate as a realtor or as a buyer and seller. You work and can work in so many different markets and honestly help people with your network, whether it be, you know, Nashville or a bunch of other states, I'm sure. What would you like to maybe share to them?
As the wise guru of real estate that I am already, I kind of wanted to touch on referral stuff. So this kind of goes in.
Yeah.
I've always been people first. Like, you know, whether it be gear, I don't care what gear somebody plays. Like, how are you as a creative musician, or, you know, and the referral thing. I've always been a referral first, like, networking mind person. Like, I'd rather give a referral, like, you know, somebody, oh, I got a guy for that. Like, you know, hey, you know, I need this, or, you know, oh, I got a guy, call this guy. And that's been a lot of fun. So I think, I mean, it's more life stuff. Like, advice would be authentic, be you, your people will come. And, you know, don't ever try to be that mold of, like, whatever the stereotype of a real estate person is. Like, you want to wear a t-shirt to work and Vans, then do it. Like, you know, and then your people in t-shirt and Vans. I think there's a level of trust there too, where it's like, oh, cool. There's like comfort and, like, it's okay. And, you know, so I think that authenticity is key. I think that, and just, you know, communication, you know, I've already worked with teams, and I've worked with people who are, I would rather be investigating something and not have an answer yet, and tell my client, I don't have an answer yet and I'm still investigating, but here's what's going on. And it's like more service first. And that was what I did in my old work, you know, all the time. Like, hey, I don't know what's going on with your gear. Here's how we can troubleshoot it. Try this stuff. And then let me look into it. And then let's find, you know, here's our options for multiple solutions. And so that's been that mentality, and that lifeness, I think, goes into real estate. It's really just plugging in to real estate now. It's like we're taking what we are and what we know from how to deal with people in the world, and to be a world touring musician who knows how to deal with people, because we have to get stuff done. And you know what I mean? Like, so like to be able to plug that mindset into how do we work this for real estate, and like, oh, cool. This client is like the venue owner, and this client's the production manager, and this, you know, like whatever it is, or this guy's the AR rep and the gear company, and or here's management and label stuff. Like, I think that all those roles parallel in the real estate world completely.
Absolutely.
And it's, and we already know how to deal with that. So I think for new agents, I would say be confident and be positive and be you. Like, don't try to be something else. Like, you know, I'm the first person that's like, you know what, I don't have an answer for that. Let me look into it, or let me review the contract again and study it first and provide ease for somebody. Then on a psychological level, then actually, you know, oh, I don't have an answer, I'm not going to call you. And then like, they're like, what the hell, that guy hasn't called me, I'm starting to fume. So I think that it would be to not be fearful and to make the leap and to have faith in doing this and learning it, you know. And like, you know, Juliet and I have talked about, like, it's just numbers. You know, you want to sell a mobile home for 150, you know, well, here it is. Or you want to, or do you want to sell, you know, a $3 million house, you know, like, you know, I'm going to call the expireds, and, you know, an expired just happened that was a $3 million house. Like, I'm going to call that, like, you know, hit it up, see what's up. Tell me the story. Like, I want to learn. I'm not going to like, oh, that's not my realm. I don't do that. I don't sell wineries. And, you know, it's like, well, why not? You know, like, okay, so the rock venue that we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
So my coworker's all, dude, check out this thing for sale, because he does more commercial stuff. And it was basically a rock venue. And he's all, call your people. And so I was like, okay. So I called people, and like, I have local people, like, you know, Night Ranger bands here, like they got their barn, they got their studio, like whatever, like, hey, you want this venue? Like, maybe like, you know, kind of do something. But I called the head of a record label and you know, music promoter, and showed them the property, and they're interested. And then they ironically, we scheduled it for a time when one of their bands was playing in town. And so I used to work with the band, so I'd go into town, hang out, kind of like did my old kind of work and schmooze, but it was more like personal level. Let's go to some sushi and hang out. And then, you know, but then show the venue in the morning and stuff and check it out and kind of like think about ideas and see them again. So it is kind of funny where, you know, cool, $7 million property, no big deal. I know more about this property already than like any other agent that would come in here with just like a commercial investor. Yeah. And I'm dealing with musicians, and we have a musician mind. And one dude rolled up like pretty much in like, you know, flannelly, you know, whatever. I think I was probably just like in jeans and, you know, flannel or whatever. And then, you know, but it's just like, we're just rolling in. Cool. It doesn't matter. Like, don't try to play a part of like, you know, the freaking TV shows. Don't be the real estate guy on the TV show. Don't be that guy.
Yeah. I love that because that's something that I struggled with for my like first year, was really finding like myself. I felt like I had to be like this blazer or something else, which I'm not. I'm glad that other people are, but just not me. And I was really kind of getting in the way of my work because I felt like I was just, I was kind of confined. And I would absolutely agree that removing, and that's one part of fear, right? Fear, like thinking about what other people think and, you know, how they're going to judge you or whatever it may be, maybe because also you're new, because that's what I was new and I was a little bit different, you know, and I was trying to make myself in this other person that I wasn't. And once I realized that, of course, people come to me because of the work that I can perform and because of what I can say and what I can help them with. And I realized that, you know, these people like me for me, and I don't have to really compare myself, because that's the biggest issue too, is you're really comparing yourself to all of these other people, which you may not be like. And that's awesome. That actually sets you apart in some way. And there are many, many other people who are going to connect with me better than they would with maybe somebody else, and just finding that and being okay with it. And
well, that's trust. That's trust. It's like, you know, if you're trying to be something else, then I'm not going to trust you because I know you're trying to be something else.
You're being somebody else. You're lying to yourself and you're lying to others, you know? So yes, absolutely. Being authentic is going to really build that trust because you are being genuine. You are what you see. And that, you know, lifted a huge weight off my shoulder when I was just like, okay, I'm just going to be myself. I'm going to do this. And That also helped me in a lot of my work with, say, making a bunch of cold calls and removing that dollar amount from a building. If I'm calling like an owner of a $3 million property, at first I was like, oh my gosh, like they're going to think I'm this, I would have a lot of fear based into who I was calling. But then I've reframed it where it's like it's just, how can I help them? There's somebody that had their house on the market at one point in time. They wanted to sell it. Why? I'm just here to find out why. I'm just curious, and maybe I can help them. I might not be the best fit for absolutely everybody, but I can certainly try. And I know that I'm capable to help them. So
you don't help them, maybe you can learn something along the way as well, right?
Exactly. Oh, always learn. Yeah.
Right. No, and it's wonderful. And it is just, about like the repetition of the doing and putting yourself out there and just, making that jump into either a new career or making that jump to do a new type of call and, to create a new contact. But it is about kind of removing that fear and being your authentic self. I could not agree more with you. That is really wonderful.
I like to use this comparison. If you compare, let's say, like a baseball player, Major League Baseball player, right, has a batting average of, let's say, 300, right? I'm not a sports guy at all. I'm just using this comparison, but you got to realize he's got a 300 batting average is great, right? But he also swung out the other 70%.
Right.
You know what I mean? He didn't hit any.
Right.
So as many home runs as you hit, you're gonna strike out. You know what I mean? And that's part of it, right? That's part of the learning curve, So
it's like that.
If you don't swing, you're never gonna hit it. So you got to keep swinging, right?
It's like that. What's that story about the master woodworker? And somebody's like, "Oh my God, you're amazing! Your woodwork is so cool. And how do you do it?" And then the guy walks him through his shop to the backyard and points at heaps of just scrap wood. And that's how I did it. Like all the crap projects that are trash in the backyard. It's totally true. And like, I think about that a lot, but
that's awesome.
So yeah, I just, I'm excited about all this. It's fun. I get most excited about just servicing and stoking people out and connecting people. And I've always done that, even with my work. And, we come from an industry of posers. And it's like, I was an AR director and you show up to a show, and I remember so many AR people would be like, oh, like they would just try to play the part. Like, I'm going to roll to the metal show and wear a black t-shirt and try to be all hard. And it's like, I would be like, you know what? I'm wearing my white t-shirt and, let's go get some tacos, everyone. And, I grew up on metal and I love all music. And so, but I'm like a jazz improv, like jam guy, songwriter, and I go through phases or whatever, but like I appreciate it all. I appreciate good music. And I think that authenticity kind of shone through with all I did with, hanging out with the hardest dudes or like freaking some jazz show or something. And just like, I think that's important to basically like just always be you. And like, cause I don't know, you see through all the BS.
Yeah.
That's the thing about like real estate. You can kind of get away with like fluff. But it is funny to roll in here with, because we're coming from like wild animal kingdom where, it's like people sniff you out right away. And it's like, cool, I don't want to deal with you. I don't like that guy. It's like, oh, what, like, what happened? Like, and it's because of that. But in the real estate world, you can kind of get away with it. But I guess ultimately it's just people stuff and you don't. You just got to do the real.
With Heavy Realty, what we're trying to do here is create a global network of realtors, musicians, investors, things like that. And I mean, you in your marketplace have so many great opportunities. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, you've got a lot of musicians, a lot of people in that area, people that want to own something over there, a lot of people that just simply travel to that destination to enjoy themselves. I mean, you've got a great ability in your network. Warren as well, just super well connected. Has New York, which is huge, but then all of the people that he knows, so I think that, I'm very grateful that both of you are part of this network.
Yeah. Heavy Realty is it's a safe place for people.
Exactly.
Music industry to man, you want to do some investing, you need help. Even for us, you want to contact for us to explain something to you because you don't understand it. That's what we do.
Well, right? And then that's the other thing is like, if you're some musician minded, like guitar player, like you know, I know for me, like, I'm not going to trust some suit in a BMW, like with my like home purchasing needs. It's like, I'd rather trust my people, right? Like, so it's like,
Exactly.
so,
You know what I mean? So
Exactly.
you know, so it's like, but it, you know, it is kind of cool. It's just like, it's very people and stuff. So
Yeah. I mean, that's why I felt like there was just a space missing for people like ourselves to be able to get either help or give help to our peers. You know, I know that when I bought my house because he and I went to all the same shows. We liked a bunch of the same bands. I trusted him very much, you know, and I knew that he would understand my taste and what I wanted, what I needed, you know. And we have a lot of people that are either first-time buyers or very educated buyers. Some people want to work with somebody that's going to understand that they're going to want to build a recording studio in this space. So how is someone going to, you know, understand that and what that takes? How are they going to maybe know a connection that could help them build that? Like, that's a very specific type of group. And there's many people out there that want that, especially with the pandemic. A lot of people now doing stuff from home. And so that was kind of what, you know, what led me to create this group, is to reach out to people who I felt were not getting spoken to, you know. And that's what I'm seeing, is there are obviously people that will want to work with you guys before working with anybody else, because you get them, and vice versa. And so it's a really, really wonderful space that I'm really hoping more people kind of, you know, get aware of within this next year and the following. That is my huge goal, is to kind of continue to create and very much push a space for people who love music, are associated with music, and simply want to buy and sell and invest in real estate. This is the place for that, for sure.
absolutely.
So, but I mean, yeah, thank you so much for, you know, taking the time to meet with me today. I know that, you know, Tim, you've got a vast network. Warren, you guys both have a vast network. I would say to anybody listening to this that they can absolutely help you wherever you live, whatever you want to do with real estate. These guys would definitely know what they're doing, and they know amazing people all over. So whether you live in whatever state, doesn't matter. I know that they can help you.
well, I love that in Heavy Realty we have Nashville, LA, New
Yes.
York,
Yeah.
Colorado, Hawaii. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, you know, I have Reno, all that, like, you know, all that stuff is like,
All great places to live.
Yeah.
let's get a network of all the touring hubs and basically get our people there and, like, you know, recruit, you
Totally.
know, Heavy Realty, like, oh, cool, you know, I got a guy. No, I got a guy. New Orleans, I got it. Like, you know.
Exactly. That's
Heavy
exactly.
Realty. Yep.
That's exactly what I want. So if you or anyone you know that's looking to get involved in real estate and lives in one of those areas, or you know somebody in that area, reach out to me. Let's connect. Let's do this. That would be great. I mean, that's where I see this. That's where I want this going. So it's perfect.
Yeah, real quick, my last deal, I wanted to escrow right before the holidays on a deal, and it was people relocating here for work. And the connection was my really good friend. I became really good friends with him, but he runs backline companies in New Orleans, and it was his lifelong friend. And he's all, oh my God, my friends are moving to, like, near you. I think you should help them. And so it was really cool to have this. That was all musician based stuff and relationships I built through the music world of, like, working with the backline company for so many years, then have this guy send this whole family that trusts me because of my relationship with, you know, my friend. Yep. So it's like, that's all music world related, but then it's like, but then finding the perfect home for a family, it's like the coolest thing. So
yeah, the combination is so wonderful, being able to combine, you know, that world and this world. And I'm so glad that you're both able to do that. So, you know, whatever we can do, whatever I can do to help you, however we can help other people in that world as well, I'm here for it. So if you ever have anything you want to let me do, let me know.
Thanks for being the ringleader, Juliet.
My pleasure. I seriously love it. So thank you so much for being a part of it.